we were going back and forth, and I know I probably said some things, and she definitely said some things.
Hey everyone, I'm Travis Cronin, Entertainment Director at Us Weekly Magazine, and we are here with the woman on everyone's lips in New York, for worse or for better sometimes. It's Jessel. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
What a breakout season you've had. All the women seem to be talking about you a lot more than the other women. Do you feel like that watching it?
Yeah, I mean, now watching it back, you just, I just, myself, right? Like you're plodding along, doing, your things, but it seems like everyone's fixated on what I'm doing and what I'm saying and how I am and what I'm acting like. It's very entertaining.
Did you realize how outspoken you were before the show, or did the show sort of show you that some people can take what you say personally?
Yeah, it's funny because my husband always says this to me. He was like, you have to watch. And I don't mean any harm, but I do speak my mind, and I think that that's something that, being a publicist, that you sort of are used to, right? Having an opinion, being in fashion, like you're very just, it's black and white with me. But I can be a little like, it's like muddy waters sometimes.
Well, and looking back when you're at Erin's house, there were some issues that all the women had with Erin's hostessing skills, let's say. Did you feel bad about any of that, or not at all?
No, I think that we were definitely a tough crowd to please. I mean, it's stressful as it is just hosting in general. But, we were like, where's the food? Where's this? There's no heat. There's no what. I mean, it was, we were piling it onto her, and she took it like a champ. But at least now she knows she probably is never going to invite us back to the Hamptons again.
She probably is not, but even at our anniversary party, there was no food.
Piggies in a blanket.
Pigs in a blanket, and that's all you got.
Do you know what, though? I know she did say, there was a caterer, and she did an amazing job.
Yeah.
I think there were so many people, and the venue was so big, it kind of got lost a little bit. And, we're always hungry, and my husband was like, where are the burgers? And I was like, they're these little, wieners, it was pretty funny. But.
I love Pavitt. His beauty is great. I will say that his taking care of his manscaping, grooming is really, really good.
He's working it.
He really is working it. He's great. Now, what are his thoughts on the show? You shared a lot, which a lot of women go through after they have kids, especially twins, that there's a little bit less sex in the relationship, and it can go on for a while. Was he okay with that? How were you guys watching it together? I
mean, I feel like it was just the reality of the situation. A lot of women maybe don't talk about, how they're feeling postpartum. It was this wave of just you've had a baby, you've had a C-section, you're trying to juggle this new schedule, this new life, and you're trying to get back to what you were before. It was just a lot of components that were adding to that. Plus, you add 3 years of IVF and all of that, circus drama to the mix, and it was very intense. But I think the one thing about Pavitt is he has been so supportive, and I think it's very easy for people to turn the narrative and be like, oh my God, he's X, Y, and Z, but no one wants to see the positives. Why can't you celebrate a man for standing by his family and standing by his wife in those moments? And that's exactly what happened.
I think he comes off great. I love Pavitt on the show.
He's amazing.
And everyone wants to know, and the kids are 2 now.
They are.
Have you guys been romantic and intimate since then? Or are we going to have to wait till the show?
Well,
how is that going?
Watch his face. No, I mean, I think it definitely took us a little time to bounce back and really balance, our time as a married couple and then our time as a family. And so it's a very fine line, right? Because you always want to be there for your kids. But I think we realized it was also important to prioritize us.
Did you wear the lingerie that Jenna gifted you?
I do.
Okay.
Well, I gifted it to Auntie now.
Okay. To clean around the house.
Imagine if I was cleaning around the house in that. I do wear it. I think Jenna's so thoughtful. I mean, she literally has gifted us so many things. And she's always coming with a gift, and she's never empty-handed. She's the most generous, kind person.
I will say that yours was the least, sort of sexy. I saw what they were going for, but the green would look so good on you. Just the fit was a little bad.
Yeah, the fit was a little bad. And, I had just come off of a lot of, stuff. So I also wasn't feeling my best. But, I wore it the other week, and it fits like a glove.
And watching you, I've had a lot of friends in New York try to get their kids into these preschool schools. These Montessori, I understand the application process is wild.
God.
You have to write like 6 essays yourself.
Yeah, it's like applying to college
Yes.
almost. And, you know, one of the questions was, you know, talk about your child's personality and what makes them special. And you're just like, my kid eats SHITS and sleeps. Like, I don't know how to put that into a 1,000-word essay.
Yeah, they put marinara sauce on their face.
Yeah.
It's adorable.
They throw chicken nuggets all day and like stick french fries up their noses. But like, you know, it was very, I actually want to share my essays though, because I was very, very proud.
Yeah.
Outside of the socially inept, adept like situation.
Right.
It was actually, my essays, I'm very proud of them. They were very creative.
And you got adapted and not inept.
I got adapted and they're flourishing, yeah.
And did you wind up picking, I know which school it is, we won't say the name because of privacy, but the 62,000 Montessori school, or did you go with, both options sounded amazing and different, the international or the Montessori?
I will say Pavitt won that battle.
Okay,
yes.
Great.
And he always thinks with a very rational, logical mind. And
yes.
sometimes you need that, you know, sort of voice of reason to bring you down back to reality.
So we saw a little clip of you discussing your IVF journey with your mom, who was a little surprised. She's right there. Hi, Mom. We love her. You know, and talking about your embryos. Tell me a little bit about how that was opening up to your mom about it. And are you guys going to pop in a girl?
TBD. I think that it was important. It was important for me to show that, you know, conversation because, look, in reality, I think a lot of people go through reproductive issues and fertility issues in silence and isolation, and they really don't. They're not open about it, and definitely not as much as we should be as women, right? Going through this. I think I read that 1 in I don't know, like 1,000 women have reproductive issues, which is a lot if you think about it.
Yeah.
And so, you know, for us being Indian, we don't talk about things that are considered taboo, and there's like a big stigma surrounding, you know, if you can't have a baby yet, women are supposed to have fertility. Like women are supposed to, they're seen as this, you know, sort of almost like a goddess kind of figure where you're just churning out kids.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the case, and it's not the case
Mother
for a lot
Gaia.
of women. Mother Gaia, yeah.
Yes.
And look, I wish that it was as easy as it, you know, as it is for a lot of people. For me, it just wasn't. The main reason I didn't want to tell my parents was because, you know, they live in London. My mom, I don't know, I'm sure your mother's the same. The minute you have like a cough or like you're sick or something, I mean, she will lose sleep. She doesn't like eat, sleep. She's an Indian mother. And so I didn't want to add a layer of like stress on them. I mean, that was really fundamentally what it came down to. But also, I think as an Indian, I didn't know how to even explain like what was going on.
Right. You're like, I'm doing all these needle injections, the hormones are happening.
It was very daunting. I mean, the first time, you know, when I was actually like given all this medication and the hormones, it's just like this, I wish I had a picture, but it was just like a whole like countertop of stuff. And you're just looking at it and you're like, oh my God.
This is what I need.
What do I mean, I love a good drug, but like this is a lot, right? Like it was a lot. It's just very overwhelming, the whole process.
Well, and so many women in New York focus on their careers for a little later in terms of childbearing years. It's just sort of what we all do here in New York.
Right.
So I know so many women who have to do that because you were focused on your career for a great many years. Do you think that was sort of, you know, the New York thing, that you were focused on your business and then waited till you were established to have a child?
It's definitely a big part of it. I think that, you know, now women are so much more, you know, career orientated. And, you know, you have to, as a woman, you still have to work hard to get to the top, right? But the reality of it is I got married at what, like 31, and my husband and I love traveling. So we were traveling a little bit, enjoying, you know, being married. And then I started at 34, and I got pregnant at 38, and I had the twins at 39. So, I mean, it was almost like my entire, like, half of my 30s was spent trying to get pregnant, you know? And I didn't think it was going to take that long.
Right.
So I was going to blink and I'll be knocked up.
Well, the twins what are they doing? What are the milestones now? Because they're sort of getting older now than we've seen them on the show. They're 2 now?
Yeah, they're 2 and 2 months.
Yeah.
They are getting up to no good, always. I mean, they are so intense. Their personalities are really starting to come to the table. Like, they're very, very loud, I would say. They definitely take that from me. But they're so much fun. I mean, I think this is like when they start talking. I think their favorite word is no. Like everything is like, no, yeah.
Now let's talk about the cackling hag, Jessel. What I thought was so funny was that Jenna was the one who, sort of brought the term up in your mind talking about it. But you sort of got the brunt of the blame. Watching that back and then sort of like not really apologizing to them because it was a joke. It's a UK thing.
It is.
I know you guys throw those little clips like
My
it's
mom
nothing.
says it.
You say cackling hags as well,
She
Mom?
says hag. She's like, oh, that old hag. Like, she says it all the time.
It's like a lighter insult. It's not a big deal.
It isn't. I mean, it depends on how you say it, I was saying it in a complete, I mean, honestly, it wasn't serious at all.
Right. They took it very seriously.
Erin took it seriously.
Erin took it seriously. She did.
Yeah.
I thought it was so funny how it happened that Jenna said it, but then everyone blamed you for it. And you were going through a lot in the Hamptons. They weren't really welcoming you at the time, too.
It was very intense, yeah. Jenna can do no wrong. But
she's the coolest.
She's the coolest. But she did say, and I think I subliminally picked it up, but Jenna also, I mean, her family is from England. Her dad is British. So it's funny because sometimes we like say the same things, and I'm like, wait, how do you know that word? She's like, you forget that I also have English in me, British in me. But it was fun. I mean, look, I definitely didn't mean anything, negative. It wasn't.
No, like ageist, no, like witchish.
No,
nothing against witches out there.
Not at all. I think it was just being at. There were a couple of scenes actually where the whole thing with the lingerie thing was brought up, and it was just, it felt like a little bit of an ambush. And look, at the end of the day, I was wrong in that moment, and I dealt with that, with Jenna personally. But no one really saw that. So yeah.
Well, maybe it's because you're so pampered and old money, Jessel. Now, Brynn loved when someone said that to her. You did not like it, but again, it was you and Erin when you were having a back and forth.
Yeah.
How was that looking back on it now, her calling you pampered? Has Pavitt said that to you too?
Oh, he's always like, you're such a brat to me. But he's my husband, he's allowed to say that.
Right.
Look, it was, I think in the moment, it was so heated, and we were going back and forth, and I know I probably said some things, and she definitely said some things, but look, the reality is I'm not pampered. I mean, my parents came, and I think I've said this a few times, my parents came from Africa, and it was political unrest. There was like a lot of political unrest in Kenya at the time, so they were forced to come to the UK, and they started from really nothing. Their entire family had to come, and there was so many. I don't even know like how you guys did it. Honestly, it was so crazy. But yeah, my brother and I, we had a very sort of great upbringing. But yeah, we had to work for everything we have now. So
well, you look like money, so I guess there's worse things to look like. And the Brynn of it all, first of all, Brynn hitting on everyone's husband and dad last night was just wild. I love her energy, but she's doing that. Shep from Southern Charm, she's DMing. What do you think about Brynn and her cavalcade of men who love her because she's so beautiful and flirty?
I mean, Brynn she has more sex appeal in her like pinky nail than I think. Yeah, I think that Brynn she just exudes this like flirtatious fun, and she's having fun with it. Like nothing Brynn does or says is ever serious. Like, you know what I mean? It's always done in jest, and that's her person. Yeah, she's very cheeky, tongue in cheek, and that's why I get along so well with her, because we have such a laugh together. Like, she gets it, and nothing's ever taken like for
just a little bant.
Yeah, it's banter is exactly what it is.
But I don't think Erin will agree with what she hears about what Brynn was talking about. 20 years, share your husband with me. Is he divorced? She sort of said it a bunch of times, and comedy's sort of funny because it's rooted in truth sometimes. I don't know. She just said it a lot of times for me.
I think I was standing right next to her in that moment, and Abe was laughing. If Abe was uncomfortable, I think I would have like maybe stepped in. But knowing Brynn, I mean, I know 100% that she was not serious.
Right.
I know women that will steal your man, and that was not it.
And that's not how they play it.
It was not it at all. She was literally joking, and I know that she feels awful for what happened, and it definitely wasn't serious in that moment.
And the speeches at that party, girl, you were very strong for sitting through all of those speeches. They seemed
I think the bar was closed too.
Well, everyone was like, we can't get drinks. They clearly had shut down the bar. I mean, that was the real thing, that they should have had people passing out champagne. If you're going to trap people for, how long was that? Like 25 full minutes?
No, I felt like way longer than that.
Really? Really? For speech,
he had
no
4
alcohol
pages
time?
in his hand.
You're right. He did have 4 pages in his hand. I hope he had everyone's speeches there, but I guess not.
I think that was just his.
And because you were in fashion for so long, did you and Jenna know each other? Had you met her? Were you intimidated to meet her? Because before you meet her, she's sort of like a presence. And I didn't know what to expect before I met her, because she's sort of like a deity in New York fashion.
Yeah, she really is. I mean, Jenna and I definitely ran in the same circles. I think going through this process, you never really know someone in that way. Like the way we're seeing Jenna now is it's so, intimate, and she's really like opening up to us. And when you see people in social scenes, it's like, oh, hi, how are you? How are the kids? And it's very surface.
Right.
I think that, being a part of her circle now is very different.
I just love how awkward and weird she is, that we get to see like a nerdy, art kid that Jenna totally is.
And that's inherently her. I think it's very endearing. But don't get me wrong, she definitely has her opinions and her way of doing things. And I think that, you have to respect her for that. She's set in her ways, for sure.
Well, now that you've seen yourself on the first season, what are your thoughts? What are you sort of surprised at to see about your life? Or do you just love it all? It could be nothing.
Well, I definitely know that I have to work on my tone. I think it comes with being British. My mom says it all the time. She's like, you sound like you're being rude, but it's not. I honestly am just like, this is just how I talk.
Yeah.
But
it's just your voice.
It's hard. Yeah, it's hard watching back, because you're like, wait, I didn't mean it like that, but that's how it comes across, and you sort of see it. I'm very self-aware now of like how I'm delivering things, what I'm saying to people. Like it just is a little bit of a reflective moment, I would say. But look, at the end of the day, it is all fun, right?
Yeah, it's cheeky.
It's cheeky.
Yeah.
I think Pavan and I have a great relationship and a great, sort of balance together. And I'm really excited for everyone to see the rest of it.
He is, and he's supporting your new business, I'm sure. I feel like he'd be very supportive.
He is being amazing. I mean, there are times where, I'm just like working from morning till evening, and he just takes the kids, and he does, he's so great with them, and he'll just like take the reins. And you need a man like that, especially when you're trying to do things on your own, right?
Yeah, launch your own business.
Yeah.
And some date nights that the people are asking for now. Is it strange having strangers being like, please sleep with your husband?
Yes, it's very bizarre.
It sounds weird. It sounds weird, like people online telling you how to be intimate.
It's very bizarre.
I just can't imagine what a mind warp that is at home. You're like, am I doing this for that lady who Instagram commented?
For Betty living in Wisconsin.
Yes, is that for Betty in Wisconsin, or is that for me, or is that for Pavan?
But I know everyone's intentions are they're rooting for us,
yes.
and you do sort of need to snap back. It helped to snap back into it. Otherwise, it's very easy just to fall into this schedule routine, especially with the kids. We're perpetually tired.
Your life is no longer your own, and nor is your body.
I think I said it before. I actually had a funeral for the girl that I was pre-kids, because I was dancing on tables, taking shots of tequila, like I was this wild child. And I don't even drink anymore, to be honest.
Wow.
I can't. It's not worth the hangover.
Right, because then you got to wake up hungover with twins.
Oh, God, and that, let me tell you, it's not worth it. The ROI on that, no. It's not worth it.
It's an L. It's an L.
You're in deficit, let me tell you. It is not good.
Well, Jessel, the standout, literally lady on everyone's lips every episode, for good or bad. Jessel, I love you. Thank you so much for being here today.
It's been a pleasure.
And we're at the mid-season. More to come from the new RHONY.
Watch out.
Bye, guys.
Bye.